see like full teams try and make into the late game most of the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other players. I can't really think of any.
Yeah.
I mean, Rebel would be one, but he hasn't. Besides Sandhawk, besides Sandhawk, we haven't really seen him much.
Yeah. All right, well, it is time to head into our final air angle of the day. This is match 4, coming your way with a new caster duo, brand spanking new, debut here at PMWI. It's Hot Laris.
Woo! What is going on, everybody? But before we even get into this match, somebody call Van Helsing, Salmon Dean Winchester, heck, Buffy the Vampire Slayer at this point, because this Vampire esports squad is looking unstoppable. What's going on, everybody? I'm Hot Jukes, and for the first time, I am casting with the legendary Cal Aris. How you doing, brother?
You oversell me. You oversell me. But yeah, I'm ready. I'm good to go. We have got ourselves last Erangel on the day on the cards, and it will be an interesting one. I cannot believe the unprecedented result we have seen so far from Vampire. 63 points in 3 games is ridiculous.
Unbelievable. They have more elimination points than the rest of the teams in this lobby. Their total points combined. It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just looking at some of the numbers so far, we see Stoned with 13 eliminations, Tony K with 11, and Schweppes with 10. That is going to make your top 3 eliminators so far in this tournament, and rightfully so. I mean, it was crazy. We almost saw a clutch even in the last match, and even though got second, still ended up with the most points.
They had no right to be getting as close to causing an upset against FaZe as they did. Almost. But it's not to be the case. FaZe had too strong a position here, and we have the most vanilla circle here for our next Erangel on the way.
I don't think you can get more dead center than that. So I think a lot of these teams are going to be pretty happy about that. We saw military zone a little bit earlier, so I think a lot of these teams are going to feel real comfortable with this circle. Now, you know, with this particular playing path, of course, North George is a little bit too far away, so we're starting to see some stretches from teams like Gladiator and Alpha 7.
Yeah, it does take a little while to get where you need to go here, but at the moment, we've got things going on in-game as well. The 2023 PMWI crate only available from July the 15th to August the 15th, so make sure to get your hands on that. Honestly, I'm all about that M24 skin. It's looking pretty pretty.
I'll tell you what, man, whenever I'm having a bad day, suppressed M24 shots.
Oh, it's a lovely sound.
Yes. This just sets me in the perfect mood for this. And speaking of perfect mood, Mazexis, right, starting to sneak up over here in Novo. They got a little bit of a battle here, and we'll see how they're going to be able to take this fight. You can see them with Peralta up in that front side with the Tommy gun, just trying to catch an angle. And Active on that top side is really going to have to be able to give that intel to the rest of the squad.
Let's see now, as we do have Novo being quite the precarious spot to deal with. Obviously, we saw this kind of unfolding in the previous game as well, right? And once you've kind of got this checkpoint position between Novo as well as the bridge, you control a lot of this, unless a team wants to rotate really far around. So the fight eventually will come if Infinity actually, you know, kind of forces the issue here. But Mazexis, yeah, happy to stay still for now.
Yeah, they definitely need to put some points on the board. With this zone, they're going to have to get moving pretty quickly here. So anytime you see these kind of engagements, and that's kind of the, you know, the result of having an 18-team lobby. You know, we don't really talk about that a lot, but it definitely changes the dynamic of this tournament.
No, definitely. I mean, there's just less room to work with. I mean, especially on Sandhawk, right? That is of extreme change. But now, these teams, there is opportunity on Erangel for actually some kind of wider scrap looting if you want to. As we take a look in with Gladiators and see what they were up to, they're able to catch R8.
Got him.
Completely out of guard as SK Ton will go down.
Nice little pickup right there. Gladiator could use all the points they can use. They are currently in second place trying to catch Vampire Esports, but man, like we've been talking about all day long, this squad has just been absolutely ridiculous. Now we're starting to see some of that looting here early on, but Alta hasn't moved at all, so he is completely stuck in his position. What do you think his squad's going to have to do to kind of get him out safe?
Who are we talking about here, sorry?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Peralta there from Mazexis. He is completely stuck.
Yeah. So, with him where he is, I think he can still chill for a little while here. I don't think there's too much stress as long as you've got the overlook of the high ground on the left, although that has been wrestled away a little bit by Infinity here. So, yeah, it's a bit difficult, especially with only a Tommy, as you say.
Yeah, so Mazexis is going to have to move the pieces on the chessboard a little bit to try and get Peralta safe here. And right now, it's not looking likely because you could definitely tell that Infinity IQ they smell something's up, and they're looking to pick up any point that they can grab. And I mean, heck, we've been talking about all day. Look at Vampire looting up and getting ready for the tournament.
Yeah, they're sitting pretty. They are looking absolutely fantastic. Obviously, they had the boat rotation for the military island, as we saw in that first Erangel, over towards Primorsk. And now they have a great opportunity to be able to just transition into the middle of this map. It's very open alongside the long woods here. I don't think that Gladiators would cause them too much problem. But moving up to Quarry to start things off, just give them a little bit of extra loot wherever they need it. Obviously, we were seeing them shoot a lot of bullets.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They need a lot of supplies on board.
And I really like their Primorsk drop. It's been working really well for them. You know, we saw that when they had that military zone. They were able to use that boat tape, get there really quickly and safely. So, I mean, this squad definitely has done their research. I got a chance to, of course, talk to their coach. And, man, this guy, I'm telling you, the work that he has put in with this squad has been amazing.
And there's an opportunity in this game as well, Hot Jukes, where they can use Primorsk Hill if they want. Sorry, not Primorsk Hill, but Chinky Hill as a checkpoint location. Again, it's not bad for this circle. It's not a bad place to stage your campaign from. As we see shots coming in from Infinity to start things off, Mazexis is getting quite aggro on this. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I think they just realized that, you know what, Peralta's not going to be able to get out of there without without a little taste of action here. So Mazexis full committing here to this fight with Infinity IQ, and I like the fact that they're doing it a little bit quickly because of where this next zone is. They want to finish this fight and get moving, but they just got picked apart. A beautiful angle there from Guiga, just setting up that trap, and man, Mazexis paid for it.
Yeah, they were trying to exploit the fact that they saw two people on that north ridge. So moving into the town and trying to kind of divide and conquer the 2-2 was the information that they were working on. Unfortunately, though, Infinity has just responded very, very rapidly themselves. So the attempt to kind of conquer that out has not worked.
Yeah, you gotta always check that window. That is one of the only little areas that has a shack right next to that window.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, Hugo just popped that track perfectly. And you can just see that's gonna be two members of Mazexis now out. They're gonna be running and trying to be able to get some points for the rest of the squads. Looking at the map though, first zone is starting to close. I wonder where we're going to see that next zone pop. I mean, most likely, you can see most of the teams already are just centering up, just getting prepared.
Gladiators currently sat in a very decent spot at the moment with that second place, getting already one of R8 on the board, and they've got a lot of opportunity to make these rotations, make these moves. They're not the type of team to really kind of sit on that bridge waiting for people to come over from military. They'd much rather either eventually cross them and maybe shoot them from the cars, etc., and things like that. But for the most part, they want to play for position. That's why you can see Kitsune all the way up south of Pachinki, trying to act as that anchor location, and then let the rest rendezvous. But they see the cross.
I was about to say, speaking of cars, it looked like Gladiators were just searching for some more vehicles here, but instead, they're going to end up finding a fight. And some huge shots from McHugh trying to open up Valak here. Is he going to be able to catch him? And he's going to go ahead and, just send it right off the rocks. Hey, that's a safe bet right there.
Much easier to be able to fire at a car in front of you than behind you. So when it comes to these kinds of chases, as you can provide a lot of stability for the shooter as Gladiators. But now, where are we going to go here? I won't be surprised if we see still kind of vanilla circles here for this one, maybe a centering up, etc., because for the most part, all the teams are going to still have decent ways to be able to get to this next circle.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Yeah, nice little hard shift towards the farm side. Completely open right now. So whenever you see that kind of hard shift, you know that that area is going to be nice and free. And you can just see how fast these teams are moving to the next checkpoint.
Farm Road, the road north of Farm as well, has a lot of wizard towers, a lot of shacks and things like that. You kind of want to perch up on it because it's a decent high ground to work with. In fact, we're seeing a battle already go on the west side of it, east side of it here. Nades raining down. Aram trying to do a little bit more with this. They have quite a bit of information. A decent spray to start things off, but it's not going to be enough here. Ali actually hitting the car more than anything will not be successful.
And that was a huge finish right there for Athon Esports. They were sitting in 16th place prior to this match. So
good move.
Nice little squad wipe is definitely going to help their overall mentality going into this match here. Now we're looking at FaZe. S2G picking up a very good solid spot just south of school. Now that's going to be on the edge of the zone, but it's going to be pretty secure for the time being as FaZe right now just trying to get some information, figuring out where they're going to go next.
It's quite the quandary, this battle here that we're seeing, because it's really not a place of power. It's not a place of priority. So I wouldn't be surprised if both teams try to back off from this. You don't want to be losing out in this location. You need to be trying to scramble for a center location at this point.
Especially FaZe. You know, S2G, where they're at, they can definitely rotate up north or south, kind of hug that next circle.
Yeah.
But by now, you can see almost all the spots have been taken up. Potato Hill is prioritized by Sem9. You have Vampire now coming from Primorsk on that southwestern side, creeping on in. So for the time being, we're seeing quite a few teams make it pretty safely on this next rotation. You can see FaZe. They took off. Yeah, they took off, and they seem to be getting into a good spot as well.
Absolutely. Makes sense, all things considered. I thought maybe they would move down towards kind of that Potato Hill area and use that as kind of, again, a checkpoint area to gain some information on the teams ahead of you and then try and move from there. But I like, you were mentioning Vampire's move. I like that they leapfrog ahead of what we're seeing here from Agon I8 and kind of created a barrier to entry on that south side. If you can do that, that means you're playing with your back completely free, and then being able to kind of stage your moves later on.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that in the green room. You know, we're seeing Vampire Esports, and you kind of mentioned how you look at Vampire and how they're not too aggressive, but they're not too passive either, right? They're that
Just
perfect
right.
little blend.
Yeah. The Goldilocks aggressiveness.
Yes.
They're really good at it. They're really good at it. And I can't believe how they were able to do so well with some of the rotations in the previous game. Coming off Pachinki Hill and then moving into those fields. They were in there for a while. They rotate northeast during all of that. Get themselves a lot more eliminations. They're a force to be reckoned with,
Absolutely.
man.
The team to watch. I mean, these guys do not do any blind rotations. They always send at least one player, two, and just cover each other as they just move up little by little. Next zone does pop. It is going to be locked down north of farm. S2G battling it out. Oh, wow. Athon with a late rotation trying to find a spot for his squad, and they're going to have to make that rotation player sacrifice.
It's a tough spot to play this, especially for those teams in the West trying to get in, because they're going to have to try for wide wraps, but there's so many barrier teams upon entry in this location, and once you kind of crest these hills, a lot of barrels are going to be staring you down. So for Aton Esports, they are going to be moving on up here, through, trying to thread the needle just north of Potato Hill, find themselves a little spot where they can.
Well, they're going to definitely pass up some squads on the way. I mean, one team in particular that I'm looking at this next zone is Alpha 7, right? They haven't had the start to the tournament that I think a lot of people expected.
True.
But they do have Shelter locked down in this zone, and that is a pretty good spot to be in a circle like this, especially if that zone hard shifts on over to the east side. But yeah, Athon just having to rotate blind and just getting picked apart little by little.
FaZe happy to take this fight here, as they might actually get caught a little bit off guard as well. There's a bit of a 2-2 split. Two of their members are heading forwards here. They don't want to be lingering around for this fight for too long, but maybe they felt like they were kind of caught between it and can't move right now. Big sprays coming in from Sem9, but they're responding kind here, as will be shut down.
And you can see FaZe picking up players little by little. And I love the fact that we could see those player cams at the bottom. You can see the frustration on the faces of these players from Athon, very desperate to try and get into this next circle. But FaZe Clan, they got the chicken dinner in the last game. It was a little close, you know, but that's definitely going to hype them up here, but they got to get it done.
Reinforcements on the way for FaZe. They realized that they had to get back here to try and help out their teammates with that 2-2 split. They've moved on to the east side of Potato Hill. Technically, Potato Hill is difficult to defend for Sem9 here if they're this split. So this could be FaZe trying to salvage it, but there's also S2G on the way as well.
Well, let's take a look at Vampire Esports, picking up players little by little on the edge of the zone. They're on the complete south side here, and this is Mazexis they're going against. It is just inactive, all by his lonesome. This man is going to need a Christmas miracle right now to win this fight. And guess what? It ain't Christmas.
I hate to inform you, it is July. We are quite a ways away, so it's not going to be easy at all, as the blazing heat here in Riyadh will beat down upon them. But Mazexis is going to try and beat down on this location too. But again, when you're going up against Vampire, how are you supposed to do it? I guess get the sun, pull the sun out from Riyadh and try and burn them away that way.
Yep, well, guess what? These guys are fighting in the shade. They are doing quite all right, just tallying up these elimination points again and again. S2G now up on the Potato Hill. They are in the action. Let's see where this next zone is going to go, though. But before that, S2G full sending it here on FaZe.
A full reinforcement from FaZe coming in here to try and go for it. Malik already starts things off against Raze. And that is a really big knock to take here as Mormon comes around the corner and finishes that off as well. Vintora's with the DBS in these close-range locations around these rocks, able to blast S2G off the battleground.
Wow, FaZe Clan clutching it up big against a major squad, okay?
Kalse.
Nice nade there from Kalse. but can he hit another? He does have that sight line. He goes for the vehicle, barely misses. Can he hit the shot? So he gets 2. Oh, the run over from the buggy. FaZe clutching it up and definitely going to have enough time to get these reses off.
Really important information just in general through that fight, right? I mean, they know that the 3 eliminations that they got earlier fully cleaned up. It's very unlikely it's another team going to be putting on that threat. So you can use your buggy at that point as the battering ram. There's no way your opponent is going to be trying to deal with that as well as all the other targets he's trying to deal with.
Super safe play and right on time, too. Like I mentioned, there was 30 seconds left on the clock. Now they're going to have to find a way into this next zone. It's not going to be easy because it is pretty taken up by now, but they did it in a good fashion. Let's take a look here at D+ Kia trying to get some nades on R8. Prestige in a horrible spot. Just Molotovs, nades, an absolute bombardment coming on in, and the S12K to finish them off.
At D+ Kia, they have got a slow and patient style, and they will wait you out. But the DBS waits for no man. He takes him down very, very swiftly. And now a smoking up here to protect this vehicle. Very important. You need to keep those tires ready and good to go in case some threats look your way, especially since you're outside the circle. Thankfully for them, though, there's not too many teams looking their way.
Let's take a look at AGI8 going up against Yokohama Donuts Barrel. Pretty split up the squad is in this position, and this does provide a little bit of an opening here for Aegon I8. Let's see if IQ can go ahead and get that nade off. He does. And gets the finish, and now, yeah, we're starting to see them get picked off bit by bit.
Yeah, but FaZe is dunking donuts over here. We've got ourselves Missile going down as well. Kazumura going down. Somehow, some way, they're able to take quite a few scalps during this with the eliminations, but at the same time, as you say, Aiton, being able to try and leapfrog ahead of them. They were a little bit behind them during some of these fights, but the leapfrog's been successful.
DRS with a nice nade up on the top of the mountain on down. They do hit that one, but it's going to be a little bit of a difficult time if they want to get these finishes off because you got Aegon on that off angle, and that could definitely make things more difficult. Oh, you can see there, Mormon from FaZe down to half an HP. Ooh. Barely surviving that one, but this is an eviction nade. That wasn't a notice, and that has been delivered.
You ain't paid your rent, buddy.
That's right.
But the thing is, for all of these teams on the west side, they know that these hills co-inhabit a lot of teams as well. So they know that the threats are by no means done just yet. DRS is up here as well, alongside this road, using the shacks, using those wizard towers that we were talking about before. So they know, ultimately, they've got to finish this fight fast or try and send it through into 5.
Yeah, you know, FaZe Clan had a very difficult rotation here where they were positioned, but they got a nice amount of eliminations to kind of give them a little bit of breathing room here, regardless of how it finishes out. You can see them stuck in the blue zone. Let's take a look, though. Can we see a finish here? I8 getting taken down. Tixie doing a great job for the Gladiators.
Yeah, they came in from the south side of this ridge and actually were able to survive for quite a while during it. They didn't have many threats shooting down on them here, so they're going to try and wrestle this away. As Neku, as well as Tixie, going to charge up some nades wherever they can and try and throw them on down, but they're just ripping the teams apart near them.
Doing a great job, and now with this next circle, they're very close to it too, so now they have to make a battle against, actually DRS going up against Vampire Esports here. Killer YT getting taken down at the last second from Schweppes. So clutch for his team, but he's the last one up. Can he do it again? 2 knocked! Vampire Esports still alive.
Trying their best to stay alive during all of this as well, but they've got a lot of fire raining down on them. Tixie here with Supremacy will try and fire away here with the doesn't have much bullets left over, but A7 on the other side. Alpha 7 is doing a lot of work. They've been quiet on the east side, but they do have a staging ground to try and make this work if they can transition across and wrestle Victorious' position away from him.
The IQ eliminated. Still 11 teams in this match, folks. You can see Vampire Esports holding that Wizard Tower with 2 remaining members. We've seen what they can do with just 1. So we'll see how many points they end up at the end of this. But it's looking quite hectic. And like you mentioned, Alpha 7, quiet so far. But now maybe it may be time for them to start ramping up the heat.
If they get a whiff of the fact that Victorious is alone, it's the perfect place for them to actually move on. But anyways, take a look at Falcons here. They also still have 4 alive, good to go here on the south side of this circle. They just need to know that Vampire is to their west, which is technically a vulnerable state, but the problem is that making those moves in this area, then you make yourself vulnerable to teams like Gladiators, etc., who is seemingly on fire. 7 limbs.
Exactly. Gladiators with 7 limbs. They were in 2nd place right here, so they noticed a lot of people from the Vampires have been taken out. But let's take a look at this as Alpha 7. Oh, the DBS Revo coming in hot, does get knocked, but Team Falcons is now only down to 1 player.
You got to clean this up quick. Puncher King here, just going to be backing off for the moment. A long-range nade. The smoke was kind of the signal as to where he was going to be throwing that, but Puncher King is well away for the moment. Yeah,
he's going to go ahead and just cut his losses and try to go for some survival points at this time. It's going to make things a little bit difficult, but Gladiators, we're talking about them a little bit earlier. 7 eliminations so far, looking to kind of close that gap that Vampire Esports has created in these first 3 matches, and so far they're looking real good.
Ooh, Tixi, 800 damage already on all of this as we see the move on through here from Atom, and then they are going to end up getting crushed by those throwables here. Fran, though, with a nice little spray, cheeky spray, but it's not going to be enough as they're going to get cleaned up by Gladiators.
McHugh doing a great job of finishing that up here. Now they have their eyes set on D plus Kia. Full laydown, but we are seeing that buggy rotate. That's just Force trying to get a little bit of information here on Gladiators. But this thick zone, 36 seconds left on the clock. It's going to leave both these teams to breathe just a little bit.
This is D plus Kia's MO, man. They're going to be the bird spider. They're going to set the trap and then eventually pounce, you know, okay, spiders don't growl, but you know what I mean.
I think this one does, though.
You think so?
I definitely think they do, because they need to start not just growling, they need to start rolling, because D plus is currently 10th place. That's right. So a nice finish against Gladiators could definitely help them out, but their position they're in is looking really tough. Fabian, it's really up to him. Can he get this knock? He does with the Bison. The B-zone is what we like to call it in North America. Looking good, and he's placed some shots. Gets in a couple ones on Tixi, but Tixi's just too good.
I mean, this is what I was talking about, right? Gladiators just did not have the information on where he was. Making the crawl, trying to get something going, as we do have them now also not holding that off, with Ox trying to clean it up, but they're also moving down towards the bottom of Gladiators here in a slight 2-2 split. 2 barriers being set up, but they've lost one now.
Woo! Tixi popping Forrest out that buggy so fast. He did not even stand a chance there. That's going to be real tough for them. And now Bigatron Red Villains right below them makes things that much more difficult for D plus Kia.
Feels like their lobby is still packed. We've still got 8 teams remaining here. Some solos, of course, as Tixi is going to take stock of the issue. Realizes that D plus Kia is still over there, but understands that Bigatron Red Villains is in a position where they could hurt him. But there you go. Tixi, with the eyes of a hawk, is able to see him.
How many eliminations did he get next to that tree? He was hugging it the whole time and just popping players back and forth. Yeah, 8 eliminations. That is going to hype him and his squad up big time. Gonna go ahead and touch that crate, see if there's anything in there. Unfortunately, already taken out. And now they're still in a good spot here.
Quite honestly, Gladiators is a team that would see Vampire's previous performances and say, okay, but we can do better. It is difficult to stack up against what Vampires has done, especially since they're still alive. So are now starting to rack up those placement points. But Gladiators will take on the challenge.
Well, I'll tell you what, with 12 eliminations, they're doing a heck of a job at challenging that indeed. So that gap is definitely going to get a lot closer after this match.
Yeah. I mean, if we have a Tixi supremacy count on the desk when Max is up there, because he absolutely adores him, that would probably hit the 20 mark, I think.
Oh, yeah. I can see that happening. I can see that happening here. Let's see if Alpha 7 can get on the board, right? Oh, maybe a good sign. They have 7 eliminations so far, right? And we have 7 on the desk as well. That's 3 7s in a row.
That is a lot of 7s.
Yes, it is.
That's very lucky, in fact, I would say.
And right now, they're looking real good. They're going to actually put that up to 9 eliminations, and they have this entire side of the circle. This is where Alpha 7 really drives home. Wide open circles, knowing exactly where they need to go. This is where they're deadly.
We could come down to a big showdown here between Bigatron and Alpha 7. With the 4 alive on either side here, a big spray comes through. Not able to hit too much through those smokes, but if you can get a tag on someone, then you can start really putting the pressure on through those smokes. I understand why he's going for it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, don't count out, Gladiators just yet. They still have 3 players. A lot of eyes are on them. You can see Kitsune with a nice little jump shot there to get that confirmed. That's going to be 13 eliminations for them. Stone looking to be number 14, and wow, beautifully done.
The only reason I slightly count them out to a degree is because they were sandwiched, but now Bigatron is actually moving a lot of their forces to the east side. This is quite a commitment here. If they're able to kind of catch Alpha 7 off guard, but I don't think they will because of the amount of noise they made with these vehicles.
And I'll tell you what, Gladiators is foaming at the mouth right now because if that fight does ensue between Alpha 7 and Bigatron, that is an easy third party and possibly a chicken dinner as well. And smokes are starting to come out here. A lot of open range, not a lot of cover here, but this hill is doing a good job at extending the play.
Yeah, absolutely. You're relying on the topography here to kind of keep you instead, as we see a few pot shots coming in from Yuhai from the distance. He's grown up from a boy into a man, as we see him now. Just going to be taking that buggy and moving on away. When you're driving around with a buggy in these locations as well, if you do expose yourself to a spray, you are quite vulnerable. So they've got to be very cautious about that too.
Yeah, we just saw what Tixie just did a little bit earlier with one. So, I mean, even though you think you're secure in that buggy, I mean, these guys are laser beams. They'll pop you out in just a second. Next zone does come on up. Alpha 7 does have to push their way on in. And Bigatron may end up getting a little bit closer to them in the process, but we're starting to see some shots go across field. I think Revo is definitely keeping an eye on Gladiators.
Yeah, across field shots, it's a very important point that you bring up because when a circle narrows down and bears down like this, it becomes those off angles. It becomes those really long-range shots that matter, where your opponent isn't accounting for those slight angles and slight kind of curves of the hill. So we could see that become very important as still Bigatron slightly separated up. The other two teams here just being clumped down towards the south sides of the circle.
Yeah, you can see GenFoss was the first person to get in the zone for Bigatron, and they are starting to get those splits. Yeah, look at that. Buggy trying to get some information. Matic giving away his spot to try to get that knock. Doesn't get it for the time being, and now you can see Bigatron Red Villains locked on to his position.
Like a homing missile, they're slowly moving down towards the bottom against where Matic is. Matic's looking for an off angle here for Gladiators as they're trying to control this Wizard Tower, but it only has so much value for so long now as Kitsune and Tixie are going to have to move to the right-hand side here. The smoke, huge nade, cause problems here. They're not able to see when those throwables are coming in, and they're able to clip them with a nade.
Alpha 7 completely blind here from this position. Zenithexta trying to crawl his way to that tree and get a res. They still have enough cover to do so. And we're going to see, oh, he actually peeked out just a little bit, but barely back in time. Well, it's actually going to be BTR stealing that elimination point.
Long-range kill. The long-range elimination here for them to get that secured. But BTR also taking the trades in turn. Matic really turning up the heat now, also from distance. These long-range shots are so crucial in a circle like this.
I mean, we're seeing a pure three-way fight here. Each team looking at each one, back and forth. Carrillo has the rock. That's going to be huge. If Revo does get clipped, his level 2 vest is beat up big time, so he cannot take very many shots. He has to be very careful.
Going for the peek around here with the M4. Mafioso now going to throw a grenade over towards
Oh
Tixie.
my gosh!
Oh, the DBS! Deceptive amount of range coming in here from Mafioso, able to shred Tixie.
And that's 11 eliminations for Alpha 7. Oh, but they're down to just Revo. It is a 1v1, v2, and BTR are looking real good.
Yeah, Matic in the distance, looking for any pickups they can try and find here, but they're so far apart. They were Gladiators was banking on the idea of having multiple angles. That means knockdowns are very difficult to be able to resuscitate, as Mafioso should be okay. They should be able to get him.
Matic going across, trying to get Kitsune up, and it looks like he might just be able to do so because Alpha 7 is very distracted here with Yuhai. Yuhai did spot Revo. He's going to get that first aid off real quick. He's trying to play this very careful. If Mafioso has anything, though, it's going to make it very difficult. He's going to explode that buggy. Has to get the reload in time. Yuhai, oh, the nade from GenFoss, clutching it up, and Yuhai finishes Alpha 7.
Big scalps to take here, but at the same time, that's going to trigger Gladiators to try and make a move. Now, they're at a man disadvantage here from all of this. They've got to play this cautiously and quietly. They're going to try and rely on the idea that they don't know where Kitsune is on that ridge just ahead, but I feel like BTR should be able to figure this one out.
Kitsune is really close to that smoke, and a lot of these players that are real paranoid always tend to throw utility near that smoke, assuming a player's there. So Kitsune has to be very careful. Yuhai, oh my gosh, almost drove right into a red zone there. And you can just see him going all the way around saying, okay, I'm not doing that again.
But that was a landmine. That was absolutely terrifying. So close to utter defeat. A really good connection on that first nade. Kitsune is relocated. The smoke's trying to hide as much of this as possible, but GenFoss realizes where Matic kind of is. Goes for the throw. That's a great throw, actually. Just barely misses.
You hide now, getting back in that buggy, looking for that info, and he does get it. Oh, gets beat up in the process, but a nice little crossfire from his teammates. It's all Bigatron Red Villains finally picking up their first chicken dinner in this tournament.
Love the man advantage, the drive-by with the buggy as well. Causes a little bit of commotion, a little bit of chaos there, and they're able to clean that up. I mean, it was a slow campaign up from that northwest side here for Bigatron Red Aliens, or Red Villains. I keep calling them aliens, man. Yeah. It's all over the place. I'm so used to it for years calling them that. But anyway, yeah, what a win for them.
But we're gonna say they've finally gone to the dark side here and have become the true villains as they've got their first chicken dinner. But I will say this, right? Talk about point sponges, right? 3 teams got, I think, over double-digit kills. That is insane.
Yeah, very impressive stuff here from those teams, especially considering it's not easy terrain to play. You have a lot of teams that can sit in these areas and fire from quite a distance, especially if teams are coming late off places like Potato Hill. But they were able to solidify themselves very nicely with Bigatron.
100%. I'll tell you what, if you're a fan of Bigatron, if you're a fan of the Gladiators, even Alpha 7, you got to be pretty hyped after that match because they got a ton of eliminations. Vampire Esports, right? I think this is the first time where they finally had a little bit of a lull. They got a couple eliminations here and there, but that lead is definitely going to give them enough cushion to breathe, at least for this match.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think they got themselves top 5 or 6 or something like that when it came to play some points alone. I think they had 2 eliminations on the board as well here, but there's going to be a lot of fans very happy to see BTR very much so on the board. For me, from regionals, there was a few question marks here and there about BTR, how they were going to play things out, but a win's a win.
A win is a win. Guys, we got a whole bunch more action for you in just a little bit. Don't go nowhere.